Now we continue. This is the second night talk on the Samyutta Nikaya, topically grouped discourses, where the first Samyutta, Devata-samyutta, and yesterday we finished 1.19. So today we start with 1.20, the 20th sutta in the first Samyutta, Samyutta Sutta. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the hot spring spa. Then the Venerable Samyutta, having risen at the first flush of dawn, went to the hot springs to bathe. Having bathed in the hot springs and come back out, he stood in one robe, drying his limbs. Then, when the night had advanced, a certain Devata of stunning beauty, illuminating the entire hot springs, approached the Venerable Samyutta. I stop here for a while. This one, when the night had advanced, normally it would mean like the middle watch. The night in the suttas is divided into three watch. The first watch is 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The second watch is 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And the third watch is 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So when the night had advanced, would probably be after the first watch. First watch in Chinese is called Chu Fen Ye. Having approached, she stood in the air and addressed the Venerable Samyutta in verse. You notice here, this one is a Devi. And she said, without having enjoyed, you seek alms, monk. You don't seek alms after you have enjoyed. First enjoy, monk, then seek alms. Don't let the time pass you by. And Venerable Samyutta said, I do not know what the time might be. The time is hidden and cannot be seen. Hence, without enjoying, I seek alms. Don't let the time pass me by. I stop here for a moment to explain a bit. This Devi said, first enjoy, then seek alms. Don't let the time pass you by. What she means is the time of youth. Now you're young, you should enjoy sensual pleasures. And then he said, I don't know what the time might be. Now his time is different. When the Venerable Samyutta says, I don't know what the time might be, he means the time of death. Any time I might pass away. Time is hidden and cannot be seen. Hence without enjoying, I seek alms. Don't let the time pass me by. In other words, the time for cultivation, don't let the time for practice of the Dhamma pass me by before death comes. So, his interpretation of time is different from the Devi. Then that Devata alighted on the earth and said to the Venerable Samyutta, you have gone forth while young, monk, a lad with black hair, endowed with the blessing of youth, in the prime of life, without having dallied with sensual pleasures. Enjoy human sensual pleasures, monk. Do not abandon what is directly visible in order to pursue what takes time. And Venerable Samyutta said, I have not abandoned what is directly visible, friend, in order to pursue what takes time. I have abandoned what takes time in order to pursue what is directly visible. For the Blessed One, friend, has stated that sensual pleasures are time-consuming, full of suffering, full of despair, and the danger in them is still greater, while this Dhamma is directly visible, immediate, inviting one to come and see, applicable to be personally experienced by the wise. I stop here again to explain. You see here, because this monk is young and probably very handsome, so the Devi has come to tempt him. Just like sometimes some young monks, when they stay alone, sometimes women also come to tempt them. And the reverse is also true. Sometimes nuns, during the Buddha's time, initially nuns, some of them stayed alone. And sometimes they also were tempted by some men and sometimes raped by men also. So here the Devi said, you are young, enjoy sensual pleasures. Do not abandon what is directly visible, to pursue what takes time. Probably what she means is what is directly visible is human sensual pleasures. Is visible for you to enjoy now. You want to pursue what takes time. That means you want to wait until you go to heaven and enjoy heavenly sensual pleasures. It's not necessary. He was trying to say. And the monk says that he has not abandoned what is directly visible, because he says that sensual pleasures are time consuming. Because sensual pleasures, if you enjoy sensual pleasures, there is no end to it. So we will be in the round of rebirths. And samsara is never ending. That takes a lot of time. So that's what he means, that sensual pleasures are time consuming. But the Dhamma is directly visible, immediate, inviting one to come and see, to be personally experienced by the wise. This one is when we chant, the 80 so chant. We say Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanayiko Pachatang Veditabbo Vinyuhiti. This is the meaning. Directly visible here and now. Immediate. This is the results of cultivation of the holy path, practicing Sila, Samadhi and Panya. The results are immediately visible, and the Dhamma invites you to come and see, to be experienced personally by the wise. And then the Devi said, but how is it, monk, that the Blessed One has stated that sensual pleasures are time-consuming, full of suffering, full of despair, and the danger in them is still greater? How is it that this Dhamma is directly visible, immediate, inviting one to come and see, applicable, to be personally experienced by the wise? And Venerable Samyutta said, I am newly ordained, friend, not long gone forth, just recently come to this Dhamma Vinaya. I cannot explain it in detail, but that Blessed One, Arahant, Sammasambuddha, is dwelling at Rajagaha in the hot springs park. Approach that Blessed One and ask him about this matter. As he explains it to you, so should you remember it. And the Devi said, it isn't easy for us to approach that Blessed One, monk, as he is surrounded by other Devatas of great influence. If you would approach him and ask him about this matter, we will come along too in order to hear the Dhamma. Stop here a moment. So here the Devi is saying that the Buddha is frequently surrounded by powerful Devas and Devis. And she is not such a powerful Devi. She finds it difficult to approach the Buddha. And Venerable Samyutta replied, very well, friend. Then he approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side, and reported his entire discussion with that Devata, adding, if that Devata statement is true, Venerable Sir, then that Devata should be close by. And this was said, that Devata said to the Venerable Samyutta, ask monk, for I have arrived. You see, for the Venerable Samyutta to be able to see that Devi and talk to that Devi shows that he has already attained the fourth jhana. As the Buddha says, when a person has attained the fourth jhana, quite likely that person can see Devas and Devis and talk to them. Then that Blessed One addressed that Devata in verse. Being supersede what can be expressed, become established in what can be expressed. Not fully understanding what can be expressed, they come under the yoke of death. But having fully understood what can be expressed, one does not conceive one who expresses, for that does not exist for him by which one could describe him. If you understand, spirit, speak up. And the Devi said, I do not understand in detail, Venerable Sir, the meaning of what was stated in brief by the Blessed One. Please, Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One explain it to me in such a way that I might understand in detail the meaning of what he stated in brief. I stop here for a moment. You see, this Venerable Samyutta, like many of the monks, because the Buddha used to travel alone, the Dhamma they had heard is actually not so many suttas, not like Not like us, actually we are more lucky. We have many suttas available to us. And we can study the suttas and we can know many suttas much more than even the arahants in the Buddha's time. So even arahants, sometimes when they were approached to teach the Dhamma, they say just the same thing. They know very little Dhamma. They cannot explain in detail because they actually have learned not many suttas. So in the same way, this Venerable Samyutta, he said that he does not know much Dhamma, asked the Devi to go and see the Buddha. Now the Buddha has spoken some Dhamma, and the Devi also finds it hard to understand. Even though heavenly being, they should have a higher intelligence, and yet they find it hard to understand. So here the Buddha says, beings who perceive what can be expressed become established in what can be expressed. What can be expressed is like what can be described. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the first sutta, the Buddha talks about people who conceive earth, water, fire, wind, I, mind, beings around us, gods, etc. And when the person conceives, then he has a feeling that I conceive. So that I arises, the I and mind. Here the Buddha says, those who perceive and don't understand, then they come under the yoke of death, in the round of rebirths. One who understands, then there is no one who expresses, there is no ego. So the Devi asked the Buddha to explain again, and the Buddha said, one who conceives I am equal, better or worse, might on that account engage in disputes or arguments. But one not shaken in the three discriminations does not think I am equal or better. If you understand spirit, speak up. And the Devi said, in this case too, Venerable Sir, I do not understand in detail what has been expressed in brief by the Blessed One. Please, Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One explain to me in such a way that I might understand in detail. So here the Buddha says, one who still has an I, he does not conceive that he is equal to others or better than others or worse than others. Because he does not have that ego. And then the Buddha explained again, he abandoned reckoning, did not assume conceit, he cut off craving for name and form. Though Devas and humans search for him, here and beyond, in the heavens and all abodes, they do not find the one whose knots are cut, the one untroubled, free of longing. If you understand spirit, speak up. And finally the Devi said, I understand in detail, Venerable Sir, the meaning of what was stated in brief by the Blessed One thus. One should do no evil in all the world, not by speech, mind or body. Having abandoned sense pleasures, mindful and clearly comprehending, one should not pursue a cause that is painful and harmful. That's the end of the sutta. Here the Buddha says, he has abandoned reckoning. Reckoning means consideration or regard. You can say he has abandoned reckoning. Let me see. Does not assume conceit, does not have an I. You can say he has abandoned views also. Reckoning views about this and that. That does not have conceit. He has cut off craving for name and form. Nama Rupa here is phenomenal, object of consciousness, because in the suttas, Nama Rupa always arises together with Vijnana. Vijnana is consciousness. So Nama Rupa is the object of Vijnana, object of consciousness. So Nama Rupa, name and form, or mentality, materiality, is phenomenal, what we are conscious of. So, in other words, the world around us. So he has cut off craving for it. So he has cut off craving for the things in the world, then he is not born again. That's why devas and humans search for him. They cannot find him when he has passed away. So that's the end of the sutta. Now we go to 1.21. At Savatthi, standing to one side, that Devata recited this verse in the presence of the Blessed One, as if smitten by a sword, as if his head were on fire. A monk should wander mindfully to abandon sensual lust. And the Blessed One replied, as if smitten by a sword, as if his head were on fire, a monk should wander mindfully to abandon identity view. So here the Devata is saying that a monk should be earnest, as though he is struck by a sword, or his head were on fire, or it's like his turban is on fire. So a monk should abandon sensual desire, sensual lust. But the Buddha says a monk should abandon identity view. This identity view is Sakaya Ditti. This is one of the three factors that you have to eliminate to attain Sotapanna. So the meaning of identity view is that you identify yourself with the five aggregates. You take the five aggregates to be I or mine, or I am in the five aggregates, or the five aggregates are inside me. So when you identify yourself with the five aggregates, you are still a Putujana. So Sotapanna, he has abandoned, he has eliminated Sakaya Ditti, identity view. So even though he still has a self, but he knows the body and the mind, this body is not the self. He can see this body is impermanent and beyond his control. So he knows that this body and this mind one day will pass away, and the elements will scatter. So, but in spite of that, it's very hard to eliminate the I. Only the Arahant has eliminated the self. 1.22, the Devata said, it does not touch one who does not touch, but then will touch the one who touches. Therefore, it touches the one who touches, the one who wrongs an innocent man. And the Buddha replied, if one wrongs an innocent man, a pure person without blemish, the evil falls back on the fool himself, like fine dust thrown against the wind. So here, what does the Devata mean? He says, the first line, it does not touch one who does not touch. It, the first it refers to the vipaka, the result of karma. It does not touch. Vipaka does not touch the one who does not commit karma. The second touch, who does not touch, is commit karma. So one who does not commit karma, the vipaka does not touch him. But then will touch the one who touches. The one who commits karma, the vipaka will touch him. So one who wrongs an innocent man, the vipaka will come back to him. 1.23, the Devata said, a tangle inside, a tangle outside. This generation is entangled in a tangle. I ask you this, O Gautama, who can disentangle this tangle? Here I explain a bit. This tangle or knot, the tangle inside, the mass of craving within us. The tangle outside is the mass of craving for external sense objects. So you have a mass of craving within us and outside. Then he asked, who can disentangle this tangle? And the Buddha replied, a man established on virtue, wise, developing the mind and wisdom, a monk ardent and discreet, he can disentangle this tangle. Those for whom lust and hatred, along with ignorance, has been expunged, got rid of, the arahants with asavas destroyed. For them the tangle is disentangled. Where name and form ceases, stops without remainder, and also impingement and perception of form. This tangle is cut. That's the end of the sutta. So here the Buddha is saying, the arahants with taints destroyed, or with asavas destroyed. Arahant is called a kinasava, one who has destroyed the asavas. And the asavas can be translated as uncontrolled mental outflows. And basically, this uncontrolled mental outflows is the flow of consciousness. Because when the six consciousness flows, then the world arises. So, Arahant is one who has destroyed the uncontrolled mental outflows, and the tendency of consciousness to flow is destroyed in him. So when he passes away, consciousness does not continue to flow. Consciousness stops altogether. Again, the Buddha says, where name and form ceases, nama rupa ceases. And also, when nama rupa ceases, consciousness also ceases, vijnana, because as I mentioned just now, consciousness and nama rupa and vijnana, they are always together. They are always in a pair. When consciousness arises, nama rupa, the object, also arises. When consciousness ceases, nama rupa also ceases. So when name and form ceases, it means consciousness ceases. And also impingement, contact and perception of form ceases. It is here that this tangle is cut. This is the state when a person passes away and enters Nibbana or Parinibbana. Then, as described in the Kevada Sutta of the Digha Nikaya, the six consciousness ceases, and then that is the ultimate state. The next Sutta 1.24. From whatever one reigns in the mind, from that no suffering comes to one. Should one reign in the mind from everything, one is freed from all suffering. So here the Devata is saying that we should control or discipline the mind. If we control the mind from everything, then one is free from suffering. But the Buddha said, one need not reign in the mind from everything. When the mind has come under control, from whatever it is that evil comes, from this one should reign in the mind. So the Buddha says that initially we have to reign in the mind until it comes under control. Then when it is come under control, a disciplined mind, basically a mind that is one-pointed, then we should reign the mind, control the mind. What is evil? In other words, if we anything unwholesome, if we indulge in it, it gives us suffering, then we should not allow the mind to indulge in it. The next Sutta 1.25. If a monk is an Arahant, consummate, that means perfect or pure, with asavas destroyed, one who bears his final body, would he still say, I speak? And would he say, they speak to me? Let's stop here for a moment. This Devata is asking the Buddha, if a person has become enlightened, would he still say that I talk, or they talk? We still have that I, Then the Buddha said, if a monk is an Arahant, consummate, with chains destroyed or asavas destroyed, one who bears his final body, he might still say, I speak, and he might say, they speak to me. Skillful, knowing the world's parlance or expression, or way of speaking, he uses such terms as mere expressions. Then the Devata again said, when a monk is an Arahant, consummate with asavas destroyed, one who bears his final body, is it because he has come upon conceit that he would say, I speak, that he would say, they speak to me? Let's stop here for a moment. So here this Devata is doubting the Buddha's words. He thinks if that monk still says, I speak, or they speak to me, he still has conceit, he still has ego or self. Then the Buddha replied, no knots exist for one with conceit abandoned. From him all knots of conceit are consumed. Though the wise one has transcended the conceived, he still might say, I speak. He might say too, they speak to me. Skillful, knowing the world's parlance or expressions, he uses such terms as mere expressions. So the Buddha reiterates, says again that an Arahant, he might still, the way he talks, you might still think that he has an I, a self, but he does not. He talks like an ordinary human being, because when you talk to people, you have to talk the normal way. 1.27, a Devata asks, from where do the streams turn back? From where does the round no longer revolve? Where does name and form cease, stop without remainder? And the Buddha said, where water, earth, fire and air do not gain a footing, it is from here that the streams turn back, here that the round no longer revolves, here name and form ceases, stops without remainder. Here the Devata is asking where the streams turn back. This means a stream of life. The round no longer revolves, the round of rebirths. Where does phenomena, name and form cease? Then the Buddha says, the earth, water, fire and wind do not gain a footing, have no chance to come into existence. This earth, water, fire and wind are the four elements, is the material world. This material world is just a perception of consciousness. Because consciousness, vijnana, is conscious of nama, rupa. Rupa is the physical part of phenomena. So, because the world exists in consciousness, so the four elements, even though they appear so real to us, it is actually just a perception that consciousness perceives. So it is just a behavior of the world. Like water is supposed to be fluid, and it has a shape. And earth is something hard. Fire is something that has heat. And wind, something that moves. So it's a perception. So the physical world is actually a perception of consciousness. And when these elements do not have a chance to arise, then here nama-rupa ceases. But as we mentioned, when nama-rupa ceases, then consciousness also ceases. So when consciousness ceases, then the stream of life does not flow anymore. The round of rebirth stops. The next sutta is 1.29. Devata said to the Buddha, having 4 wheels and 9 doors, filled up and bound with greed, born from a bog, O great hero, how does one escape from it? And the Buddha replied, having cut the thong and the strap, having cut off evil, desire and greed, having drawn out craving with its root, thus one escapes from it. So here I explain. Here the Devata is saying, the body has 4 wheels and 9 doors. The 4 wheels are the 4 ways that we, our deportment, that means walking, standing, sitting, lying down. These 4 ways we conduct our body. These are the 4 wheels. And the 9 doors are the 9 openings. The 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the 2 nostrils, and 1 mouth, 1 genital, and 1 anus. So these 9 holes the body has. And the Devata says, this body is filled up with greed, bound with greed, born from a bog. A bog is a wet, spongy ground, like a marsh. Then he says, how does one escape from it? How does one escape from this body? Because this body is full of greed, full of suffering. Then the Buddha said, having cut the thong and the strap. The thong is the halter or the rein. Is the meaning is hatred. And the strap is a binding material. And the Buddha refers to other defilements. So having cut off evil, desire and greed, having drawn out craving with its root, the root of craving is delusion. Thus one escapes from it. So that's the way to not to come back with the body. We have to cut the hatred and the other defilements, greed, and then drawn out the root of delusion. Then we don't come back into the body again.